This week at Recreational Warehouse, 0% interest financing for 15 months on spas, pool heaters, and outdoor kitchens. Recreational Warehouse, Colonial Boulevard, Fort Myers, and Airport Road South in Naples.
I'm a single father. I got full custody of him. I raised him myself until he was 10, and then he had to go up north and stay with other family because I just couldn't take care of us anymore. 13-year-old kid needs his dad. Well, I work every day in construction. I do trim carpentry. You know, at $15 an hour, I just don't make enough to afford the rent. The rents are so high here. The average rents are now over $900 in Lee County. Early 2000s, I had my own construction company. I was up in Illinois, and business was good. I made over $100,000 in construction business in 2004, and I made less than $10,000 in 05. It just stopped. I had lost everything. All I had left was my truck and my construction trailer and my tools. And I hit the streets down here in Fort Myers. If I had to pay rent somewhere, my budget would not balance. There's just no way I can balance it. So I've set myself up to be self-sufficient. You know, I built my trailer into a camper. It's just a matter of, you know, having air conditioning and a comfortable bed to sleep in and a shower and some clean clothes, and I can just blend right in. We had a lift that would bring up some of the heavy stuff. On the census data, you can see that that half of our population in Lee County, which is well over 300,000 people, they're just barely getting by paying their rent and utilities and food and just their bare basics that, you know, there's not money out there flowing in the economy that could be if we had affordable housing. I'm not into government handouts. I don't want government handouts. I'm not looking for a government handout. I don't like government handouts for people who don't really, you know, need it. And the thing is, you know, I just need an affordable place that I can stay at.
This week at Recreational Warehouse, 0% interest financing for 15 months on spas, pool heaters, and outdoor kitchens. Recreational Warehouse, Colonial Boulevard, Fort Myers, and Airport Road South in Naples.
In 2012, my husband and I separated, and I was a stay-at-home mom and was looking for work. I have 2 daughters, and they remained in school in the Estero area where my ex-husband lived. I lived with my mom at the time, trying to get back on my feet. I was hired to work here part-time at the front desk 3 days a week, and I was told I wouldn't have any room for advancement. Learned about CHR when I was still a part-time employee here in Sanibel, and couldn't believe that an island as amazing and beautiful as Sanibel had affordable housing for some of its workers. I can't tell you how much I love the fact that I live and work on such an amazing island with resources that I never knew existed. I love to take nature photography, so for me this is, I get all emotional. I did also, before I moved here, I looked at rent in the Estero area. I couldn't afford it. Never knew about CHR, but I never forgot about it. And then when I walked in that day, July of 2014, and they told me that there was one available, and I could go look at it, I'm not kidding you, I was shaking like a leaf. I've been here for a little over 4 years, and I do daily operations, visitor services, education, membership development. There's something about this place that's magical. And I hope one day I will purchase my own home here. I follow my passion for nature, and that feeling that I still get when I drive over the causeway. I couldn't believe it, that it was happening, and it's amazing.
This week at Recreational Warehouse, 0% interest financing for 15 months on spas, pool heaters, and outdoor kitchens. Recreational Warehouse, Colonial Boulevard, Fort Myers, and Airport Road South in Naples.
This affordable housing program has been around since the late 70s, actually became a 501c3 in the early 80s. So Sanibel was, I would say, forward thinking and kind of out in front of things when they realized that they needed an affordable housing program. There was a group of citizens on Sanibel who gathered together and said, we need to address this issue of the rising cost of housing. How are we going to have workers to work in our local businesses if we don't have affordable housing? It grew steadily since then. They started out with just a few cottages that I understand were moved from the beach. They were donated and moved in, and little by little other properties came on board. It has grown. Today there are 74 rental units. We have 14 homes that we sell, an unlimited equity ownership arrangement, and so 88 available affordable housing units. In order to be eligible for housing here, you have to be working full-time on Sanibel or a retired Sanibel citizen who has worked here, and we also serve individuals with disabilities. So everybody has to have a Sanibel connection.
The once-a-year holiday super sale is on at Dixie Buick GMC. We don't just promise, we deliver the best vehicles at the lowest prices in town.
I got another job a couple months ago and making a lot more money than I was at the other job I had for the last year, and a lot more than I made in the last several years. You know, now I got a company truck, so I don't have to drive my vehicle down to Naples every day, and so I'm saving over $100 a week in gas. That's a pay raise in itself right there. You know, I was able to, it allowed me enough money to be able to finance and buy a better vehicle than what I had. I still not making enough to, you know, really rent an apartment or anything. With the prices still keep going up every month. You know, you look in the prices of the rentals and stuff, and they keep going up, and I still can't afford them. And but the way I live in my van and in my camper trailer, I'm comfortable. I have everything I need, and the money goes in my pocket instead of some landlord. And I think more people should look at that kind of alternative to living and saving. Before, I was only stressed out and depressed and angry that I couldn't keep up on the bills, and I felt like a failure, and I couldn't get anything done, couldn't get anywhere, accomplish anything. And now I've learned to be content and live on very little. And now that I'm making better wages again, now I'm able to start saving money and and have some more hope and stuff. But I still, like I said, I still couldn't really afford an apartment or a house with the prices these days. That they're having trouble getting workers, and so people have started stepping up the pay. And like the last company I left at the 15 an hour, they're having a really hard time getting workers, but they still can't pay any more because the companies they're working for aren't paying more. But so many other companies are getting paid better and needing employees so bad that they are stepping up the pay scale a little bit, but it's still not keeping up with the cost of living. I got
out of reach. Many workers can't afford a home in Southwest Florida as area booms. Low wages, high housing costs make Lee and Collier too expensive for many workers. What are we doing about it? Tea was the dinner hour at Smoke and Pit Barbecue on the main drag through North Fort Myers. Drew Broderick settled into a booth after a day on the construction site in Naples. Ordering his usual pulled pork sandwich, the $15 an hour trim carpenter took out a yellow legal pad and tallied his monthly expenses. $50 cell phone, $100 gas, $500 meals, $300 child support, $100 car payment, $50 auto insurance, $50 clothing, $50 personal care, $84 storage. Every few days Broderick would tweak the numbers, but like a line out of a Rod Stewart song, it came out looking just the same. I bring home about $1,750 a month after taxes. There's just no way I can afford to rent a place. The 47-year-old said. I bring home about $1,750 a month after taxes. There's just no way I can afford to rent a place. Drew Broderick, construction worker, and so he doesn't. When he's not working on million-dollar homes, Broderick, who before the mid-2000s housing crash earned $100,000 a year, sleeps in a homemade construction trailer rigged with an air conditioner, a ceramic tile shower, and a futon bed that folds into a couch. Why doesn't he rent a room with a hot plate or share a duplex with roommates? He'll tell you it's no way for a grown man to live, and that he needs his limited income to maintain his van and replace the tools his livelihood depends on. Drew Broderick cleans up in his construction trailer. Drew Broderick cleans up in his construction trailer that he has converted into living quarters in North Fort Myers. Broderick, who works a construction job, says rents are too high. He chooses to live a meager lifestyle so he can make his own choices with the money he earns instead of it all going to bills. Photo, Andrew West/The News Press. But the real reason is that Broderick, who runs a homeless shower ministry that went viral in 2013, wants to send the message that private sector housing in Lee and Collier counties is out of reach, not only for him, but for anyone earning less than $50,000 a year. Is he right? To find out, the News Press analyzed wage and housing numbers for the counties using data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor and help from Southwest Florida appraisal firm Maxwell, Henry & Simmons. The results were jaw-dropping. Little more than a third of Lee and Collier residents hold positions of employment. Nearly two-thirds are over 65 or under 18. 8 of 10 top job categories in Lee, by numbers of people employed, pay salaries below the median income, $47,908 a year. 9 of 10 top job categories in Collier, by numbers of people employed, pay salaries less than the median income, $56,250 a year. Lee County's median income earners can afford a $1,197 a month rent or a $171,225 house. Collier's median income earners can afford a $1,406 a month rent or a $203,350 house. On a given September day, 7,030 homes were advertised on Lee's multiple listing service, and only 17% were affordable to someone earning the median household income, using the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's affordability standard. On the same day in Collier, only 9% of all MLS listings were affordable for median income earners. In fact, almost 50% of the county's workers pay too much for housing, according to the Harvard Center for Affordable Housing Studies, which defines too much as more than 30% of one's income. And, when other standard cost of living expenses are added, two-thirds or more of workers are unable to comfortably sustain the county's cost of living. How did this happen? Take the survey, a shortened version of MacArthur Foundation's Housing Matters survey, measuring people's attitudes about housing affordability. Naples News Our World, ministering a mobile shower. Recipe for a housing crisis. Patrons to the Love and Light Ministries in North Fort Patrons to the Love and Light Ministries in North Fort Myers take part in a free meal recently. The ministry offers a safety net of services for those in need. According to ministry staff, food pantry clients are primarily working people with roofs over their heads who are making ends meet. Photo, Andrew West / The News Press. The seeds of a regional housing crisis, a nationwide crisis, according to the Harvard Center for Affordable Housing Studies, were apparent this year when Florida Governor Rick Scott announced thousands of new jobs added in Collier and Lee. For me, a $250,000 house isn't affordable. A reasonable rent would be no more than $1,000 a month. Sharon Rosier, Housing and Real Estate Manager, City of Fort Myers. The industries with the most job growth were trade, transportation and utilities, and leisure and hospitality, the economic development websites of both counties boasted. While the new jobs offered average wages from $1,543 to $3,066 a month, the median Collier rent in July was $2,135 a month and $1,900 a month in Lee. Even at the higher salary, that's more than 60% for rent. Meanwhile, the Southwest Florida real estate market has outpaced much of the nation and is expected to grow by double digits over the next 3 years. Real estate, a major economic engine, is piling on the need for people to do essential jobs. Pour the foundations, cook the meals, bathe the Alzheimer's patients and stand guards at the gates, but not building enough homes for them. NAPLES News forecast, SWFL home prices will rise, become overpriced. More than half of all Florida jobs pay less than $15 an hour, according to a United Way of Florida report. Going forward, the majority of new jobs are projected to pay less than $20 per hour for service work. The affordability issue never went away, it just went out of people's mind during the bust. We didn't learn a thing. Sharon Rosier, City of Fort Myers. To live here is challenging even for a government worker, said City of Fort Myers Housing and Real Estate Manager Sharon Rosier. For me, a $250,000 house isn't affordable. A reasonable rent would be no more than $1,000 a month. The situation was the same during the height of the last housing boom in 2005, Rosier said. The affordability issue never went away, it just went out of people's mind during the bust. We didn't learn a thing. The market won't solve this problem without help from the public and private sector, says Lee County's Habitat for Humanity Executive Director Kitty Green. A job equals either a house and a place to live, or a trip. Steve Kirk, President, Rural Neighborhoods. The school board has to hire 600 teachers a year and can't find a place for them to live, she said. If we don't do something, be prepared to pay $15 for a hamburger so employers can bus and service workers or build housing for them. Steve Kirk, whose Rural Neighborhoods is growing a supply of workforce housing in Immokalee, put it simply. A job equals either a house and a place to live, or a trip to commute to work from a more affordable area. There is no way you can have a job without either. What is workforce housing? Drew Broderick eats by himself at Mexican restaurant. Drew Broderick eats by himself at Mexican restaurant in North Fort Myers. Photo, Andrew West / The News Press. Workforce housing is a bit of a misnomer, used to separate middle-income earners from people in government housing programs. But as the National Housing Institute writes, the low-wage workforce is still the workforce. The low-wage workforce is still the workforce. National Housing Institute. Generally, workforce housing is tied to area wages by the HUD 30% rule. If the median working household in Lee can devote $1,191 a month to a rent or housing payment, and in Collier, $1,406 a month, that's what housing should cost. Those prices rarely pencil out for developers, however, when you factor the price of land, the loan, construction and investor returns. 90% of the construction in Miami has been for what 10% of the population can afford. I suspect it's the same where you are. Jack McCabe, McCabe Research and Consulting. There is tremendous demand for more affordable housing, but developers cannot make a profit doing it, said Jack McCabe of Miami-based McCabe Research and Consulting. 90% of the construction in Miami has been for what 10% of the population can afford. I suspect it's the same where you are. Local governments like higher-priced housing, too, McCabe observed. Drew Broderick, driving the van that he sometimes lives in, heads out for a meal at a North Fort Myers restaurant. Photo, Andrew West / The News Press. Cities and counties look at increasing revenue as their priority, he said. If they have a developer who wants to do affordable and another high-end, they go for the high-end condo because it gives them a higher tax base. Like city managers around the country, Fort Myers' Saeed Kazemi equates workforce housing with mid-level earners. When I say workforce housing, I don't mean low income, Kazemi said. I'm talking about police officers or even city employees. While opining that 67% of them can't afford to live in the city, he acknowledged the many who earn less than a middle income. Not only his city workers, but working people from Collier to Lee. The News Press found some of them at Love and Light Ministry in North Fort Myers on a Wednesday night. Strivers below the median. It's like flushing money down the toilet. Rose Inwa, Cape Coral renter. Like a vision from Field of Dreams, they materialized at the sunset hour to stand in a line that's naked around the Love and Light Tin warehouse in North Fort Myers. Among her many ministries, Lucy Bonsanto, also known as Mama,